Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes, after wonderful fireworks on Saturday.
So what did you guys do over there at the farm?
Well, we don't do it at the farm for the last several years. My daughter insists we do it at her house now.
Okay.
But I always take the finales, and so we had just the family and me, but we had wonderful fireworks. I didn't get to bed till almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Now, that's pretty late, Dr. Shealy, for you.
That is 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And interesting, the guy that I've visited for 30 years to buy my fireworks told me that his sales this year were up 300%.
Wow.
So people apparently, instead of whatever big firework festivals go on, didn't happen, so people bought their own.
Well, I'll tell you, around here, until the wee hours of the morning, it sounded like war. It really did. I mean, it was shots 360 degrees. Literally, like boom, 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 boom. I mean, hours and hours and hours of these explosions. And from our perspective,
I had to put earplugs in when I went to bed, even out where I live.
It was that loud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were really concerned. We thought, and I'm not exaggerating, class, we thought we might have a stampede of our cows.
I can understand.
Really, because the dogs were terrified. All the animals were absolutely frightened beyond belief. All this noise, and one thing that I'd like to suggest that our class consider as things escalate around the country, all this violence. There are going to be sounds like that more and more and more, and it won't be fireworks. It will be live rounds. And that's what's happening in the cities. There are a lot of deaths in the cities, Dr. Shealy, throughout the United States over the weekend. An enormous amount of deaths. People getting shot. And why? Why is this happening? So, I had a question for you about the heat and the sun. And maybe this is part of it. I've noticed that when I was a young person, let's say a young teenager, throughout my entire teenage life, I could go out, go swimming, lie down on the concrete around the pool. There was a YMCA pool in our village when I was growing up. It was an outdoor pool, and you could lie on the white concrete all afternoon, and it was okay. Now, when you go out, you get burned in a matter of minutes, absolute minutes. What do you think it is? Is it us? Did we get older? Is it the...
Well, I don't know because I don't have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have for years, for many years, taken PAVA before I went out to stop burning occurring. But actually, for the last 10 years or so, I just take astaxanthin, and it allows me to tan deeper, but I don't ever have to worry about burning. I mean, I spent, I think about 5 hours out in the sun on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. When I was younger, I could spend 5 hours out in the sun, no shirt, no problem at all, none. Now, of course, I would get tan, but I wouldn't turn lobster red and be in pain. Right now I'll go out for, let's say, a half hour, and I'll come in soaking wet, and then I'll cool off a little bit, have a whole bunch to drink, go back out and do it, and, just repeat. But it wasn't like that as I remember when I was younger.
Do you take astaxanthine?
Absolutely.
30 milligrams?
Maybe 20. Yeah, 20.
Yeah, that should be plenty.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what it is. And I guess we all have our variations. But interestingly, I've been preparing to finish my telomere study, and I've been collecting all kinds of reports on what keeps telomeres longer in people ordinarily. And they have done a study in both men and women that people who take multivitamins, not only multivitamins, also vitamin D3 and vitamin E, etc., all have longer telomeres than those who do not.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was one of the questions on my list for today. All the medical doctors whom I've spoken with in my entire life, with the exception of you and your team, have said, I've asked, so should I take vitamins, just to see what they would say? And it's like they had they prepared for a test. And the test was, so if you have a patient that says, should I take vitamins? What is the answer? And then the answer is, no, you get all the vitamins and minerals you need from the food. It seems like they took that test and they memorized that answer, because they've all said the same thing, except for you and your team. So, what would you say to someone who
says... They are brainwashed stupid.
Uh-huh.
That's what I would say, and that's the kindest thing I can say.
Mm-hmm.
They're ignorant, uninformed, uneducated, stupid, and probably brainwashed by the pharmacomafia.
I did an experiment. Actually, I did a couple of experiments here at the farm. One was I took 2 fields and I limed them. One I limed heavily, and the other I limed just a standard amount. And in another field, I didn't lime at all. And we had exactly the same weather conditions, because these fields are adjacent to each other. So there's one field, then the next field, then the next field. The one with the most lime absolutely performed the best in terms of growing vigorous, healthy, thick grass. The one with a less amount of lime did fine, but not quite as well. The one with no lime, terrible.
I bet.
So, yeah.
So it looks as if you cannot overlime practically.
Right. And here's an interesting thing as well. So for years, many, many years, if you wanted to have your lime fields limed, you'd call the farmers cooperative and you'd say, hey, can I get some lime on my fields? And they go, well, we're not doing that now. And no matter when you call them, they weren't doing that now. And so for years I'd call them and I'd get put on the list, and then something would happen to the list. Either my name would get crossed off, deleted, they would rewrite the list without my name. But for about 5 years I couldn't get lime. And I was patient. Finally I lost my patience, and I decided to buy a lime truck. Actually, it's a salt truck. And this is one of those, old clunkers that you'd see on the highways, on Interstate 44, for example, spreading salt on the roads. And what it did, it was took rock salt, and it had a rotating disc with veins on it. The rock salt would be delivered via a conveyor belt to this rotating disc, and it would just spread it across the road. And it spread it 3 lanes, which is great, because if it could do that with rock salt, it could probably do it with lime. So I bought this truck used with our son, and we worked on it and fixed it up, and we use that to spread lime. Now, it'll hold several tons of lime. Now the problem is, I can't get anybody to deliver lime. Nobody will bring lime to the farm. So I hope I don't have to buy a dump truck. But
wow, that is really interesting.
Serious. I'm very serious about that. So I haven't seen anybody lime their fields. Nobody, because nobody wants to lime fields, and I don't blame them. It's a miserable job. You get in the truck, and if If the wind is blowing, lime is everywhere. It's like you can't see where you're going. There's so much lime. And we don't do it that way. We wait till it's damp. We wait till the lime isn't going to go flying all over. We wait till it doesn't go airborne, close up the windows in the truck, and we go slowly so that, it doesn't create a lime fog. But what I am saying is everything seems to be broken, Dr. Shealy. Everything that we touch, everything that we want to do is getting so hard to do because we either can't get the parts, the people who order the parts don't know what they're doing, the people who used to be there to order the parts don't show up at work anymore, the stores are closed, the supply chain is broken. It's real simple. There are 3 quarries around our farm, 3 limestone quarries. And it's not like they cooperate with each other. They all sell at whatever price they want. One's in Springfield, one's in Lebanon, and one's in Mansfield. And all we have to do is call them up and say, we'd like to buy some lime, and they would ship it. Well, they don't have, or they'd truck it in. They don't have any trucks anymore. They don't do their own. They hire it out. And the guys that they hire don't want to deliver lime anymore. So I don't know how this is all going to work. When the fields stop producing grass, we're going to have fewer cows. When we have fewer cows, the price is going to go up. And we're going to have less food. It's simple as that. Because you need lime for everything. Lime is the catalyst that releases the nutrients from the soil. That's what it is. And it's cheap, or it was cheap.
It's the big reason why our food supply, even that in the so-called grocery stores, are highly deficient because they have not been properly raised. Mm-hmm. It's like being raised without a parent.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm saying is I did just a very simple experiment. It took, a whole year to do this, to test just the results of lime. And we had everything here to test it. And, the lime, the spread truck, and the grass. And we didn't change the grass. We didn't plant new grass. Same old grass we've had for, all the years we've been here, 15 plus years. Same old grass that was here for probably 40 or 50 years before that. And the conditions were identical, same amount of rain on all the fields, same amount of sun. Everything was the same except for the lime. And it seems to me that if you look at farm-grown produce, vegetables, for example, if you look at a tomato that is grown in a garden with the proper nutrients, it's deeper red. The meat has more flesh to it. You compare that to a hydroponic tomato from the supermarket, and there's no taste. The consistency, the flesh isn't right. The color's not right. Nothing's right except one thing that they do way better than we do. They get them all to be the same size. They're all identical. Same size, same shape, same everything. No bugs, no nicks or dents in the flesh. It looks like they're waxed. Keep them appearing to be fresh for a couple months. Other than that, they're lousy. And they don't taste right. So the next question, Dr. Shealy, is if they taste mealy, if they have no flavor, if they're not really palatable, are they as good as the darker red tomatoes, the fleshier tomatoes, the juicier?
Do you always answer your own question?
Yeah. Okay, so, the answer is simple, class. Grow your own garden. It's not too late. Start right now. It takes practice and takes years to get it right. We'll be right back. That's Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com, normshealy.com. And that's where you can go to find his books and peruse his offerings for vitamins, minerals, supplements, the whole 9 yards. I shop at Dr. Shealy's. I go to his clinic, or I used to in the good old days. But you can buy everything that I buy online. We got a couple calls on the screen. First, Kathy, then Dan in Texas. Kathy, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Hi, Vincent. How are you?
Hey. Really well, considering the environment we're in, right? Yeah.
Oh, I know. I have a question for Dr. Shealy, if I could.
Of course.
Dr. Shealy, I have a cavity by one of my crowns in my teeth, and that crown's been in there a long time, maybe 30 years. And they said there's some decay by the crown. They also said that I have one cavity. I still have all my wisdom teeth, and I have a small cavity back in the back. I would like to not have to do anything, but I believe there's already some decay there. I did read before, and I wanted your opinion on what would you do, and also I've read about some of the homeopathic remedies where you can use the kelp phos and the kelp floor and take those a couple times a day, several times a day, and that is supposed to help remineralize the teeth. So I wanted to know what your opinion is.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know enough about that kind of homeopathy, but if there are reports that it works, then it's certainly a lot less invasive than trying to fill a cavity in any tooth anytime. Secondly, of course, I had my wisdom teeth removed when I was 18, and I thought you almost had to have them removed when they got into trouble, but if it will take care of cavities in the other teeth, I presume it will take care of cavities in that tooth. So I would say try it for 6 months, but if it doesn't work, you may have to go to restoration.
Okay. Well, I guess my concern was if I try it for 6 months, is that going to be, like, am I going to be risking having more issues with the teeth? Or do you think I don't think any of them are all that big, but I do know the one in the wisdom teeth, they said there's like a small hole there. I had trouble with it before because there's a funny angle to it, and they said that it's just almost difficult to get to, even as a dentist, to kind of clean it.
Right.
So
you know what I would do? I would brush my teeth with Honest O3, Honest O3. That has ozone in it. It is undoubtedly the best tooth whitening brushing material I've ever seen. And I think the ozone in that could help as much as the homeopathic thing.
Okay. I did buy some. I heard your advice before, and I have been using it for probably at least a month. Dr. Shealy, is there a reason that this happens? I really take very good care of my teeth. The only thing I was wondering is I do drink lemon water, and I have lemon in my tea. Is that something that can affect, like, the breakdown of your teeth?
Probably not. What I would do is check the pH of your saliva in the morning before you drink anything. If your pH is below 7, then you need potassium gluconate to alkalinize your blood and saliva.
Okay. Okay.
Because an acid
Dr. Shealy,
can do more harm than anything.
What amount of potassium gluconate would you recommend, and how should we consume it? Should our pH be less than 7.0?
A rounded teaspoon. And you put it in water and drink it.
Okay. And when do we test our pH saliva test? When do we test our?
Before you drink anything in the morning.
Right. Okay. But is there a time from the time we get up through X number of minutes or hours that we need to test it?
I don't think it matters. As long as you've been away from drinking or eating for at least a half hour.
That's Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, medical doctor. Kathy is on with us, and Dan is up next. And I just want to tell you that what I prefer to do here at USA Prepares is make sure you get your medical questions, all your questions, answered completely, rather than racing through with 10-second answers. That it's hard to figure out what you should do in terms of following the medical advice. Kathy, back to you.
Dr. Shealy, the one other question I have for you. You were talking about using the tonic water. And I can't remember what you said to use that for.
I'm sorry, I missed the word. What kind of water?
The Schweppes tonic water.
Yeah, you said I talked about using some kind of water, but I missed a word.
Schweppes.
She's saying
like SC.
She's talking about Schweppes tonic water, quinine water, Dr. Shealy.
Quinine water. Well, it is like it has quinine in it, which is slightly bitter tasting, but I just like the flavor of it. I mean, it has no therapeutic value that I know of.
Other than fighting malaria, right?
Well, I don't think you've got enough in it to touch the malaria, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I mean is during World War II, we heard that quinine was something that was used to treat malaria.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, Kathy?
No, that's all I wanted to ask. And I just wanted to say, Dr. Shealy, you're just such a wonderful doctor, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I just have fun. I really enjoy what I do.
Kathy, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot about Dr. Norm Shealy. People just love hearing him on the air. And so just to recap, Dr. Shealy, Kathy's question, is there a protocol for remineralizing teeth? So if we've got a cavity, if we keep the cavity clean, can our body say, you know what, let's just fix that. Let's just fix that pothole.
I do not know
possible?
of a study that does that, but I suspect that if you really search the homeopathic literature, you might find it, because homeopathy is underrated, of course, by the average physician.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, we've got go ahead, Kathy.
I'm sorry. I just get off so Dan can get on in a minute. But I was doing a little research over the weekend, and there are some homeopaths that have used it for their children with even teeth that appeared to be crooked, and they gave them the remedy 3 times a day, and she just kept her children on it. And she said that their teeth are healthy and strong, and their teeth straightened from it. And it was the calc phos and the calc floor, the 6X. So, anyway, thank you, Dr. Shealy. Thank you, Vincent.
Kathy, I'll see you on Friday. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Dan in Texas, thank you for your patience and waiting for us.
All right. Well, thank you guys for once again being on the air on Mondays with Dr. Shealy. I'm going back to his book, Healing Remedies. And I, too, have ordered the Honest O3 dental paste and have been using it for at least a month now. My question on page 260, and I know you guys probably don't have that book in front of you, but Dr. Shealy, you mentioned about fluoride on page 260. Now, do you recommend fluoride, or did you?
No.
Or okay.
I actually do not recommend fluoride ever now. I think it is a poison because it's in the water, it's in so many drugs, it's in toothpaste, and it has caused almost, we're near total sterilization of men. Sperm count has decreased from 150 million to 40 million. When it gets to 20 million, there ain't going to be no more babies. So we've got to get rid of fluoride.
Okay, so in your book, you just talk about fluorine and fluoride, but you don't recommend it.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Dan,
well, once again,
Dan, I have the book right in front of me. And you're right, page 260. It says fluorine is a trace mineral found naturally in soil, water, plants, and animal tissues. It's electrically charged form, fluoride, which we know we usually refer to it as. He talks about it. He absolutely does. But let's see.
Well, the naturally occurring stuff, the traces that you might find in nature are nothing compared to the poison in our water system.
You're talking about the concentration, right, Dr. Shealy?
Yes.
It's more concentrated in water and toothpaste. Yeah, arsenic's a poison too, and that's naturally occurring. So, so is uranium. And so, I'm not going to brush my teeth with uranium.
Well, why don't we put it in the water system instead of the air?
Dan, I've got a question for you. So you have this book. I've made the comment, and I stand by it, and I'd love to hear your reaction, that this book, and it's called The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Healing Remedies, over 1,000 natural remedies for the prevention, treatment, and cure of common ailments and conditions, by C. Norman Shealy, MD, PhD. That book, I've said, is, if you're going to buy one book, just one book, and only own one book, that is the one to get. Would you agree or disagree with that, Dan?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a top 5 for me. The Bible's going to be number 1, but this book is amazing as far as all the intricacies for, what was it? I don't know, $15, $16?
Well, maybe. I've bought them for as low as $5. Shipped. And that's, you can't buy that much material. Forget the knowledge and, the effort to put this together. There are a bunch of stupid people out there, and this is proof of it, because they're willing to sell these. They've got to be crazy to sell these.
Hey, speaking of selling things, just over the weekend, I got the pulse oximeter, and after listening to Kathy with her teeth problem, how come they call it a toothbrush instead of a teeth brush? But I digress.
Well, it didn't start just there. They call it tooth powder, okay, and toothpaste. And obviously, if you start out with 32, you'd want to have 32 tubes of toothpaste if you were going to use toothpaste, right?
Yeah.
One for each tooth.
I think of the things that I've ordered. In fact, my moringa trees are slowly growing. How are your guys's?
Mine got up and left. So I've got more seeds. I've got to start over. And I don't know what happened. I was experimenting with, I think I over-caffeinated them. I gave them some coffee, and I think they got sick. So I'm starting over. I'm serious. They seem to like it. They seem to, a little bit of coffee, they really took off. I gave them a little bit more, they really took off. I gave them a little bit more, and it keeled over. But I think of the things that I've ordered, listening to your guys' shows, and I usually only listen on Monday. Do you have anything where, and I guess I shop more at Amazon, but do you have like a little thing where if we punch in your code, somehow you get credit? Because I'm sure Kathy's the same thing, where she listened to your stuff and then ordered. Is there a way we can help you out by ordering through Amazon? The answer is no, you cannot. And I'll tell you why. I used to have commercials. The way radio works is we'll call them the host. That would be me. The owner of the broadcast, for example, would be me in this case. I would get X number of minutes of commercial time per hour. And I got 3 minutes per hour, 6 minutes per day. So 2 hours times 3 minutes an hour, 6 minutes. And I could sell those commercials. I could use them any way I wanted, as long as, the FCC rules weren't violated, and as long as GCN didn't have a problem with, what I was trying to do. I decided a long time ago that I didn't want them, and I was not going to sell them. I did not want any compensation for them. And I asked GCN if I could give them back those 6 minutes and turn that into programming time, class time. So I don't have any revenue source, none, with this broadcast. No money comes to Vinny, and Vinny doesn't pay any money, which that's another thing that's a little different. Radio today has become, a lot of programming is paid programming. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of programming is paid programming. So I don't pay, to have USA Prepares on the air, and we don't get paid to have USA Prepares on the air. We have no revenue sources. We have no, fiduciary links to anything, no financial links to anything. So if I recommend a product, it's because I like it, and it's because I think it's worthy of mentioning, and I think that I've tried it, I like it, and I could endorse and recommend it, but nobody pays me. Even though, let me give you an example. So last Friday I had Mark Allred on. Mark Allred is with a company that is advertising here on GCN. I have no financial relationship. I've never received any compensation, nor would I, to have Mark on to talk about his carbine conversion unit for handguns. I just thought that that's really kind of a neat thing, that if you've got to pack up and get out and you want the minimum weight and the maximum protection rifle and pistol all in kind of like a kit, what a great way to go with one kind of ammunition, one kind of magazine. What a great way to go. So that's why I interviewed him. I did not ask for, nor want, nor would I accept compensation for that. It's just because I want to. So we do not have a mechanism for click here and, make us a hero, click here for likes, click here for, we don't have that stuff. And we don't get any compensation. None. Not through YouTube. We don't get it through anybody. And what that does for me, Vin Finelli, what that does for me is it allows me to actually be independent. We don't have a donate button. I've even taken down our website because we've been beat up. People would just beat us up on our own website, and I wouldn't allow that either. So it's the only reason we do what we do is because we want to, and if we don't feel like doing it anymore, we'll probably just go away, but we don't get paid for it. There's nothing that people could take away from us that would hurt us. Meaning, okay, you guys, if you don't stop talking about X, Y, and Z, we're going to cut off your funding. There's no funding to cut off. We don't have any. And if I recommend ProPure water filtration systems, it's because I use them. So that's kind of, it'd be nice, Dan, if we could, do something like that, I suppose, but I do not want to be in a position where we can't say what we want to say, because if we do, we'll hurt somebody's feelings and then they'll shut off our financial faucet. Dr. Shealy, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think you're right, of course. You, obviously, anything you allow on your show is an endorsement. And I'm willing to do that for a few people on my local radio show. I only allow companies that I believe are just as good as me.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. Dan, if you'd like to hold, we'll be glad to go through the break and have some more of your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. But, and we don't have a give us money button on the website. We don't have that. We don't even have the website. We'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, normshealy.com. Dan, you brought up an interesting question and comment, and I'd like to just flesh this out a little bit more. So, USA Prepares might be considered in the aisle of alternative radio. Genesis Communications Network, the largest of its kind in the country, might be considered alternative radio. What would it be an alternative to? Well, that would be the mainstream media. Yeah, the ABCs, CBS, NBCs, Fox, those kinds of media. Some people would say that, no, we're not alternative media. We're independent media. Well, to that, I would say that's not true. I would say it's not true because, and I'm not talking about USA Prepares. We are different from everybody. There's nothing like USA Prepares on the radio dial. Nothing. We're the only ones who do what we do. But the ones who say that we're not alternative radio, we're independent, that's not true because they take contributions. They get paid by people who have agendas. And let me give you just one example of an agenda. There are radio programs that are dedicated to promoting President Donald Trump. And they have the word Trump in their broadcast name. And I'm not going to mention exactly who they are. But that's paid programming. Or it was paid programming to help Donald Trump become elected and to keep him looking positive. There's programming like that. Now, would you call that independent media? I wouldn't. I would say that is media. That would be the Ministry of Propaganda. In my world, that would be, Joseph Goebbels in 2020. That's how I would look at that. So what I'm saying is, when you look at the media, please Don't believe anything. Don't even believe what we say here at USA Prepares. Don't believe anybody. Do your own research. And what I do is I keep these spiral-bound notebooks. There's 70 pages. They're for students. And the Chinese factory outlet sells them at back-to-school days. And that's when I used to buy cases of them at a time for 17 cents a piece. And I have, cases of these. And I just take the next one out off the top of the case as when I use up the last one. And I've got them all. And what I do is I write my notes. So in this particular broadcast today, I've got some notes about things I want to do more research on. And what are they? Well, Dr. Shealy talked about the pH of 7.0. And he talked about potassium glutamate. I wrote that down. He said a rounded teaspoon in water. I wrote that down. Okay. We talked about multivitamins. I wrote that down. He talked about Honest O3. I already researched that before. I want to do more research on that. So, though, I wrote down quinine. Now, why did I do that? Because he got me started, tweaked my memory, and I want to do even more research than I've done already. Why? Because I want to know more. So that's how I operate, and I suggest that you all do the same thing. I mean, I believe Dr. Shealy, but what I'm saying is, make sure you do your own research. Okay, that's really important. Now, even though you believe Dr. Shealy, and even though I do, and even though that I'm telling you the things that I say are true, I still want you to confirm it for yourself. Dan, any comments?
Well, I think when you talk about programming independent, I don't see you on either one of them. First, the word programming. I think they do a good job of programming. If anything, you're unprogramming us and you're allowing us to think for ourselves, because if we start doing that, we're probably going to go back to a prosperous nation.
Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, I think we do have to do our own research. I've been doing that for the last 50-plus years. And you can't always find what you want, but if you can find support of it with other valid publications, then you just use those to reinforce what you're saying.
There you go. So my understanding of Dr. Shealy, and I've known him about 10 years now, my understanding is, Dr. Shealy, you learn things, and this is not exclusive that you take other people's work, but you found work that interested you, and you wanted to know more, and then you did your own research to either prove, disprove, collaborate, or find inaccurate. Is that right?
A great analysis. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think you should do the same thing, class, in your lives. And toward the end of the meetups, toward those 5 years of meetups, I started saying in the last, let's say 2 years, 3 years maybe, look, I'm not interested in teaching you how to store matches for 20 years in a jar. I'm not interested in doing that anymore. We've already done that. I'm interested in teaching you how to think, how to discern the truth, how to figure out what's true from the lies, because as we go down this road, it's getting worse. And other people said at the meetups, we don't want to know that. Just tell us what to do. And I'd say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to teach you to think for yourself, because someday Vinny's not going to be here anymore to tell you what to do. So you're going to have to learn the way I did. So I'll teach you, or I'll try to teach you how to think. Dan, if you'd like to stay with us, you may. We've got Gene in Kentucky on hold. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. Dr. Shealy, contact number for your clinic in Springfield, Missouri, Central Time. Would you like to give that out?
417-351-5221.
Class 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. If you'd like to make an appointment, Dr. Shealy has the capability, he has the availability of Skype, and he can do a telemed type meeting with you. He can talk to you on the phone, or you can be there in person. We've got Gene on hold. We've got Dan in Texas. Dan, any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, question for Dr. Shealy. For the castor oil for cataracts,
Yes.
I've been trying to do that the last 6 weeks. In a side note, I have a split nail on my toe, and I'm just wondering, do you recommend putting the castor oil on that, or what do you recommend for split nails?
That one I do not know, but it certainly couldn't hurt to put castor oil on it. Castor oil does help local healing other places, so, gosh, I hope it works.
Okay, well, I'll be the guinea pig. Hey, thank you guys, and God bless
Dan,
you. Keep up the good work.
Dan, one quick question before you go about the castor oil for cataracts. I'll tell you what I've done, and let's see if this kind of fits with what you've done and your experience. So I have a small bottle. I believe it's about 4 ounces of castor oil, and I got it quite some time ago at the Chinese factory outlet. I believe that's where I got it. And it was very inexpensive. But the problem is it does not come with an eyedropper. And so what I did was I washed out a very, very clean, looks like about a 2-ounce bottle that came with a brand new eyedropper, right? So I got a brand new eyedropper, didn't use it, washed out the blue glass bottle, and I poured the castor oil in it. Now, when I use this, I lie down in bed just before retiring, and I will very carefully, with this glass eyedropper, put 1 drop in the inside corner of my eye, each eye. And I'm very careful not to touch my eye to contaminate the castor oil that I'm going to put the eyedropper back in the bottle. And I only fill the bottle about halfway so that when the eyedropper glass contacts the castor oil in the little bottle, I don't want it to run all the way up the outside of the eyedropper because it'll drip, 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 drip. So I only fill that bottle, halfway. So only about a half of the eyedropper or a third of the eyedropper is actually in contact with the castor oil. Is that what you do, or do you do something differently?
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Dan, how about you?
So then I fill that castor oil so it could have a little dropper thing where I screw on, and right before I go to bed, I do it every other night. And my wife saw me do it. Destroy your eyes? I said, no, I'm getting rid of cataracts, so she's not a believer yet.
Okay. Well, all right.
Well,
now,
doing it
next
every
thing.
other night, I'm not sure it'll work, but halitosis is better than no breath at all.
Dan, next question I have for you. My mom used to use the term sleepers, and that was back in the early 1950s. So if you had, this little crusty stuff in your eyes, when you woke up in the morning, she would say, let's remove those little sleepers from your eyes. Do you get those when you wake up in the morning after you've used the castor oil USP?
Yes, I do. And the days that I don't do it, I don't get them.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, what are those, quote, sleepers, end quote, that we get? Is that the removal of the cataracts? What is that?
No, I tend to think that's just normal shedding, like your skin sheds, a few cells every day. I suspect that the conjunctivus sheds a few cells every day.
Okay, but I don't get those. If I'm in a dust storm. Yeah, if I'm in a dust storm, I'd get them. But if I don't get them unless I use castor oil. And I think that's what Dan's saying.
I would say then it may be helping get rid of debris, but I can't be sure of that.
Okay. Next question, Dan. What is your reaction? Do you see a visual difference with your eyes after having done this, or not, or just a little bit, or what?
I haven't really noticed much other than when I wake up in the morning that there's kind of that crusty sensation.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, class, my results are everything's brighter. It seems like I have more light coming through my lenses of my eyes. Seems like kind of like washing the windows. That would be one way I might describe it. And I'm continuing to do it. I think that there is a net positive. I don't think there's any negatives that I've seen. And Dr. Shealy, how about your comments?
Well, I have literally scores of people who reported to me that they felt the cataracts have gone away. And one person said her goats went away, and two people said they had dogs that went away, that the cataracts went away. So I know it works in most people.
How about floaters? Does it have any effect on those?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I get that question frequently, but I have no reports of it.
Okay. Anything else, Dan, before we go to Gene?
No, thank you guys for your time, and keep up the good work. God bless you.
Dan, thank you. You are one of the most patient people I know. Thank you so much for calling in.
You need to talk to my wife.
She has even more patience?
Well, she is an occupational therapist, so she has a few patients every day she goes to work. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Gene in Kentucky, welcome. I haven't heard your voice in a while.
Yeah, I've got several questions, but now I'm going to have more about the castor oil. But first of all, right now my main problem is my poison ivy. I'm constantly pulling it up, sometimes accidentally because I'm constantly pulling weeds. And so I'd like to know what the best stuff is besides what you call calamine and something about the homeopathic preventive stuff you could supposed to take. I heard it advertised on a Peoria station. My husband had it years ago when he worked for the phone company. They gave him some kind of little pills or something, you know. Liquid. He said it was a liquid. So, and then I want to ask about water, catching rainwater.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, your thoughts on treatment for poison ivy?
Well, the only treatment I know is steroids. It may work with homeopathy. I do not know that. But it can be, of course, extremely irritating when you've got poison ivy. And the steroid, local steroid cream does help a lot. But in the long run, I like to be not sensitive to it, and I use the American Indian technique, which is in the spring with a pair of rubber disposable gloves, pick several leaves from the poison ivy and put them in a cup of water or in a cup and pour boiling water over it, sort of stomp the leaves, let it sit for 5 minutes, drain it, and drink that 2 days in a row. It helps to prevent future sensitivity to poison ivy. I cured myself of it over 30 years ago.
Gene, did you get that?
Yeah, but what if I pull it up directly? Will it help there too?
What about what?
What if I pull it up directly and touch it? Because there's so much around here.
Well,
if you brush against it.
Well, if you want to pull it up, I would use gloves to do it.
I know, but sometimes I'm just reaching down and pull weeds, and then I go, oh, there's poison ivy intertwined with all the rest of the junk, you know.
Well, good luck. I mean, I think...
I've got it right now everywhere, you know, because probably hard to get the oil off. It's probably on my golf cart, we call it steering wheel and doorknobs and everything. But anyway, okay, so might try that. Now, Mr.
Gene, hold it, Gene. Did you understand what he was talking about? It sounded to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Shealy. I believe you were saying make the equivalent of a poison ivy leaf tea. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
I'll hear this on the podcast.
And then drink it. Okay. Yeah. Well, the Grow Network, which is, I believe, started by Marjorie Wildcraft, USA Prepares Instructor. Mm-hmm. She's been to our expos. She has that, eat a poison ivy leaf to get relief, ? So, you might want to type that in, class, and do some research about, eating poison ivy and make sure you fully understand what you're doing before you do it. Dr. Shealy, is it possible to have an adverse reaction to doing that?
Well, obviously it's possible, so I might just remove one leaf if I was sensitive.
Okay. And there's poison ivy, poison sumac, and there's a whole bunch of them.
Poison oak.
And poison oak. And so, Gene, just to let our class know, we have a lot of spiders around here, and some of them are recluse spiders. And I've been bitten by a recluse spider, and it's not all that pleasant. As a matter of fact, it's a little intimidating because when you see that bullseye and that purple spot on your arm, you think, I hope this thing doesn't grow and, eat my arm. So what we do is when we go to move leaves, vines, etc., and we're farmers, so we're doing this as well as you are, we wear gloves. We absolutely, positively wear gloves because we don't want to get bitten by little things that we can't see before they bite us, including but not limited to poisonous snakes. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I'd really like you to be extremely careful before you go out there. And well, I don't believe in luck.
I'm a gardener,
I don't believe in luck,
so,
Gene. I don't believe in luck. To me, if I were to define luck, that would be opportunity met by preparation. Okay, you'd be prepared. I would say you've been fortunate not to have been taken out by a poisonous snake or some poisonous thing.
It's usually just along the fence line, and I've got so many weeds left in the garden that when I let it go, I took it back, and then I'm still pulling weeds as I took them all the
By the way, I do want to say my daughter, about 8 years ago, gave me gardening gloves, and I greatly appreciate the fact that she introduced me to those. I do not do any gardening without wearing gloves now. And
Dr.
they're very
Shealy,
comfortable and they work well.
Can you describe your gardening gloves, please? What are they made out of?
The back of them is sort of like a black fabric, but the front is some kind of plastic. It's a very hard plastic.
So it's impervious.
You can buy them as gardening gloves.
So that's impervious to oils and toxins and not fertilizers, but insecticides. And
they keep your nails clean, too.
Mm-hmm. Gene, I've got a quick question for you, the one you don't want me to ask. May I ask it?
About sugar? I'm not finished asking questions about rainwater now.
Yeah, please hold. Class Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Gene in Kentucky is with us. Gene, you had a question about rainwater?
Yes, I've been catching it, and then I've been distilling it for myself, and then for the chickens I've been catching it. And, of course, I put it through a coffee filter first after, well, my husband made me up the screen on top of some drywall lids, he cut it out, and I catch rainwater that away for the chickens and for myself. And so anyway, for myself, I just distill it, but for the chickens, got new chickens again, whatever. And so I've been getting them fresh rainwater. We've been having rain like crazy off and on, and so I've been catching it. Yes, they really had torrential rain. But anyway, so I go out there with a big strainer and then a coffee filter inside of it and pour it through. And been putting some Oxy 100s I got from Backyard Chickens in it for the chickens. But since I'm out of that and waiting for it to come, I'm using just a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. So is that good enough? Because I don't want to get them contaminated because they eat all kinds of stuff anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I would worry about it for the chickens. I think after all, they eat everything on the dirt.
I know, but some of my water, it might be several days old in between rain,
Exactly.
Well,
I think you're wise to do that. But for yourself, of course, I would at least boil it.
Well, I distill my water. I use I got 2 distillers that I use.
Oh, then obviously it's okay.
Yeah, then I take minerals on the side. Okay, Another thing is, y'all were talking about castor oil in the eye. It's probably too late for me because I've already had the cataracts removed on one eye, and I've got glaucoma supposedly in both eyes. So would castor oil benefit me at all?
Well, it'll be safe. I mean, it probably won't do anything for the glaucoma.
Yeah.
But it could help the cataract.
Well, because I still had messes of cataracts in my right eye because I don't want to lose my near vision for when I hand blow it. So, okay, so I guess it wouldn't hurt me. Now, what do you think causes glaucoma? I mean, really, not just...
Well, I don't think we know. Mm-hmm. I suspect there's some kind of problem with, one of the water-controlling hormones, but I don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Because I had that radio keratomy years ago, and I didn't know if that could have caused it. But my sister didn't have all that. She had glaucoma, so I wasn't sure, But I didn't. I was so surprised that I had it. Really surprised.
Well, Gene, let's ask the next question, and that
okay.
is wait. Not sugar yet. We'll save that for a minute. Glaucoma, Dr. Shealy. If a person has glaucoma, what protocol would you recommend that person follow to minimize?
I would at least consider using water bliss because it does help regulate aldosterone. And I've never looked up whether aldosterone is out of balance in glaucoma, but I'm going to. Because, it is, aldosterone controls water everywhere else in the body. Why not?
Mm-hmm. And that was a question that I had for you. We can, after Gene's done, that would be, edema. Is edema related to?
That's water bliss, yes.
Is edema related to glaucoma, related to swelling, related to what? What would be the trigger for these things?
I don't have all that.
Well, no, I didn't insinuate that you did, but I was just thinking that one of the questions I had for Dr. Shealy on my list for today was edema. And I remember going to the meetups, and I remember going to see, seeing people that, it seemed like they put their shoes on maybe in the morning, but by the afternoon, their feet, were swelling to the point where they were overflowing their shoes. And when they had socks on, their calves were way bigger than their socks. So it seemed like, they started out with one size, leg and foot. And by the end of the day, it tripled in size. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but, what I was saying is we're talking about pressure. We're talking about hydrostatic pressure within the body and what would be the trigger for that. Too much fluid, not enough fluid, hormones?
Interestingly, by the way, I just found that at least in rats treated with aldosterone stopped glaucoma. I don't see it in people yet, but it would be safe to use water bliss and try it.
Okay, so Gene, water bliss, water, W-A-T-E-R, space BLISS. It's on Dr. Shealy's website. You can order it and have it shipped. Don't go away, Gene. I have just one more question for you.
I'm taking prescription for it,
Can you stay with us, Gene? I've got one quick question for you.
So then I want to ask about something else.
Okay, good. We'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. Gene in Kentucky is on with us. David is on hold. Gene, I just wanted to let you know that you had an impact when you called here at USA Prepares. Not the last time you were on, but prior to that, one or two times prior to that, I got a call from one of our instructors who said, "You really beat Gene up. I mean, I'll be surprised if she'd ever call you again." I mean, I was taken to task because I came down on you fairly hard about sugar. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I got, okay, I just want to let you know, it's been months, and the bleeding has finally stopped, but you were on with Dr. Norm Shealy and me, and I took you to task because I wanted you to stop eating sugar, because Dr. Shealy recommended it. Okay, I'm sure you remember this very well.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, literally, I was taken to task by and I know this person doesn't know you, but one of our instructors who I highly respect just beat me up. And I want to tell you why I did what I did. Because of the love we have for our class. Sure. I thought it was so important that I, with strong terms, told you what I thought. Because it had an impact on me. Dr. Shealy recommended that we all stop eating poisonous sugar. And I have done the best I can. Now, it's really hard. It's really hard to avoid sugar. It's easy not to buy it. But once you buy it, it's hard not to eat it, okay? Once it's in the house, it's really hard to walk around that bag of whatever it is, that, bag of candy. But I have to tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, two things that have reduced my blood pressure enormously is lots of water and the absence of sugar.
I don't have any blood pressure.
No question.
I just, probably in my ear. Well, only sugar I have this morning is my blueberries I've been out there picking. I had to recover from the storm. I know.
Yeah. No, we're not talking about, we're talking about caramels.
Candy.
We're talking about Hershey's. We're talking about raspberry Twizzlers and
about that.
You know, I like all that stuff too. I really do.
Stuff. I make a lot of my own stuff too.
I mean, when I go to a store and I happen to make a mistake and go down that aisle, I got to remind myself to get out of first gear and go into second and third gear and go a little faster past that stuff.
Yeah, I go to the salvage store and get mine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, all right. So don't do that, right? So have you decreased your sugar consumption? Mm-hmm. Have you done that?
Maybe a little.
Maybe a little. Okay. Give me a percentage. 100% is you stopped. 0% is you haven't done any.
Maybe. But that's still eating all my fruits and vegetables, and my own butternut squash and my crucials and my greens. I got out there. I got to pick again. So
Now, all that's good. All that's good.
I eat all of it.
All that's good. Except
I don't eat a lot of meat, though.
Dr. Shealy, any comments about Jean? She just cannot stop eating sugar. I mean, more than 5%.
Well, I could tell her how if she's willing to put a little Gymnema in her mouth. Get a Gymnema capsule, open it, and put just a few of the tiny bits of powder on your tongue. You will not be able to taste sugar for 3 to 4 hours. Do that once or twice a day, and you'll give up sugar.
Gymnema. Would you consider trying that, Jean?
Ymnema.
Is it a herb?
It's an herb.
Yeah.
Even taking it by mouth eventually will help you lose the craving for sugar.
Yeah.
But I prefer
I mean, I know when it's here in the house, I just constantly go to it.
Right.
But I don't make it.
Don't bring it. I haven't bought it. I have not bought sugar into my house in 50 years.
Yeah. Well.
Jean, that's really the secret.
Yeah.
No kidding. And sugar used to arrive in our house in different forms, different sizes, shapes, consistencies, and colors. And I'd put my hands on my hips, I'd stomp around the kitchen, and I'd say, how did that get in here? And it was almost like being in 4th grade. I don't know. Finally, someone would say, yeah, I did it. I couldn't help it. It tastes great. So, I made enough noise such that I don't think we've had any sugar for a while. Extra sugar. And sodas. I mean,
no, I don't think so.
I tried a soda, a few days ago. Just a sip. It's horrible. I mean, once you get off that stuff, you realize that how junky it really is, how abnormal it really is.
I never knew I was a big soda drinker. I'm just a mostly
That's
water
wonderful.
Drinker.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
a water drinker.
Good for you.
But anyway, another thing is, you had a gentleman on the other day called G. Now, did he not mention something about a pension problem coming up in the future? And I don't think...
Okay, I have been trying to get in touch with G. I know G very well, and I just love him. And I've been trying to get him scheduled for this week. I'm trying to do 2 things. Get him scheduled for this week. He lives in New York City. He's a very smart guy. Yeah, I would say that he is one of the top experts in the world in rings, R-I-N-G-S, that you wear on your finger.
Yeah,
and for people in combat, I'm talking about the Italians, I'm talking about the French, the Spanish, the Americans, the Germans, all countries. He is the expert in what these rings meant, what their values are, how they were made, who made them, and why. And they tell a story about history, because people wear rings for pride in what their beliefs and causes appear to be. So I'm trying to get him on the air to discuss that and what he sees in New York City regarding the protests, the riots, and the corona panic.
But was he the person that mentioned the pension problem? Because I listened to so many y'all and RBN and all this. I'm not sure what program I heard it on.
John Reagan.
Mention it?
John Reagan, Captain John Reagan, has been mentioning the pension problem for as long as I've known him. And he said it's coming, and actually now it's here. So
he's talking about Social Security too?
Yes, that's Captain John Reagan.
I figured that was coming down the pike. So it's
absolutely. Here's what you can do. You can go to Ron Gibson's channel, Ron, Gibson. Gibson is his last name. Ron, R-O-N, first name. You can go to YouTube. You can type in Ron Gibson, Captain John Reagan, and you'll find us on USA Prepares. And he's been talking about those issues. And that's the easiest way to find him, because we have indexed our broadcast by who is on. So if it's Norm Shealy, it will be USA Prepares, Dr. Norm Shealy. If it's John Reagan, it's Captain John Reagan. If it's David in Illinois, it'll be David space IL, etc.
You no longer have your own website.
I used to, and I took it down. I took it down. I used to have a lot of news stories.
Yeah.
I was threatened by attorneys. They demanded, hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. I just said, stuff it. I'm not doing it. So they gave me so much hassle.
All your instructors,
Well, that was another thing. That's why I took it down. I used to have all the contacts. There was an instructors tab. You could click on USA Prepares, click on instructors, and the contact information was there. But I took it down because we have some parasites who would call and harass our instructors. And so to protect our instructors, I said, forget it.
Yeah, I didn't care about phone numbers. I just do the websites and whatever.
Well, they would get harassing emails. They would get harassing phone calls. It was just unacceptable. I mean, there's some really sick people out there. Really sick.
Sure. But the majority of people, regular people.
Well,
but anyway,
I'm afraid you're right. Gene, I've got to run. I've got David in Illinois and Bob in Michigan on hold.
Okay. Because I was going to ask if you could put a silver coin in water to help too,
Okay, you're talking about what they used to do with milk. You're talking about a quarter.
Yeah, but I want to put in the chicken's water before I give it to them, maybe. A silver coin.
Why not? Why not?
I'm asking, will it help?
Well, I'll have to have Dr. Shealy. I don't see any problem with it, and I don't see any problem with adding a little bit of vinegar. We add to control parasites in our chickens because they eat everything. Apple cider
vinegar, yeah.
We put in like a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a gallon of water, and we give that to them, not often, but, let's say every 2 weeks.
Well, Dr. Shealy, there's a lot of this stuff's not effective, so.
Dr. Shealy, any thoughts about vinegar and chicken water and silver coins? Now, we're talking about pre-1964 and earlier U.S. coins made out of silver. Not nickels and not pennies. We're talking about dimes, quarters, $50, silver dollars. But you got to scrub them and get all that grunge off them first. Dr. Shealy, any thoughts about adding a silver coin to the chicken's water?
Well, I've never done it, but I see no harm in it.
Okay. Total agreement from me. Anything else, Gene?
Next week I'll call back and ask more about my cataract stuff.
Yeah, and give us a full report when you get to 6%, 7%, 8% reduction in sugar, okay?
Okay, I wanted my husband to ask about edema, but you're running late. Okay,
all right, very quickly. Let's do edema because that's on my list. Dr. Shealy, what's edema?
Swelling.
Okay.
It can be anywhere from the big toe to your ear. Any part of the body can swell when it's inflamed or irritated.
Well, I've heard some commercials on the radio about some people wanting extra swelling. Certain parts.
They're
stupid. David, Illinois. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah. Sorry. I'm a person. I worried I had OCD once, and so instead of buying 6 boxes of everything, I changed to 4, and I didn't have a problem with it. So I'm assuming I don't have OCD.
David, very, very quickly, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you calling in. I really appreciate your friendship. I really appreciate you being an instructor. And I want to tell you, I think about you early and often, and I'm not exaggerating. I just want to tell you that because I've never told you that, but there it is, and I'm serious.
Life's rough here, so. Anyways, you were talking about I wasn't planning on, now my wife's planning on talking to Dr. Shealy at some point. It took her all this time to finally be able to access the show that we talked about her where she can get the number to call. We couldn't get access to a lot of that stuff, so until just this weekend. So,
do you want the number for Dr. Shealy's office? I'll give it to you right now.
She wrote it. Yeah, she wrote it down. She finally got it this weekend. Every time she tried pulling it up, it wouldn't play. She couldn't get access to it, and so we even have messages and emails turning up missing here. But you got the cops calling me now. Now that you brought it up, they're calling me all at night, and they're insisting on talking to me.
Do they want a donation? Is this because they're running low on, on
And you know
bribes.
they're not cops? They're not cops.
Yeah.
They're not cops. Ask them. Just ask them if they're cops. Are you a cop? Oh, no, they're not cops.
You're talking about these people begging for money? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Constantly. Anyways, you were talking about the cataracts and the glaucoma. You got to really be careful. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but we've had glaucoma all our lives because of what they did to our eyes. And whenever they go in and mess with your eyes or there's stress or something, glaucoma seems to be a side effect. And you may not notice it if you think, oh, my eyes are better now, I can see fine. Well, the glaucoma will destroy your nerves from the outer inward. So that's where you see most people that have glaucoma problems have tunnel vision because it wasn't detected in time, or people just didn't care. But you can, if you detect it quick enough, it can be reversed. Mine was reversed when I finally got access to one eye drop when I was away. But when I had to go back, then it was okay.
Dr. Norm Shealy's with us. Class, if you'd like to contact his office in Springfield, Missouri, set up an appointment either for telephone or video or in person, 417-351-5221, 417-351-5221. David in Illinois, and we've got Bob on hold. David, back to you.
Yeah, now they also brought up, I think she brought up floaters, and floaters I think are kind of interesting because they're what floaters usually are blood. So that's floating around in that fluid behind your lenses and your retinas in the back. And the sad thing about it is now the doctors are not doing anything about floaters until they get to this really high percentage. So I knew people that had a floater fly in front of their eye while they're driving and they couldn't see anything. So if that ever happens, you just got to move your eye really quick and it kind of acts like a water effect, a wave, and it'll move it out of your current vision, floaters. But I think the time when the percentage that they don't do anything about them until they get like 80 to 90%, which is ridiculous if you ask me, and it's a safe problem. But mostly they don't, unless there's a lot of floaters showing up, then there's got to be something that's causing the blood to, leak out and get into that fluid. That's, just to let her know about, they normally don't do anything if they don't get worse, but if they get worse, then there's something going on.
And if they get worse, it means you're going to have serious eye trouble.
Yes.
It can be the result of bleeding, retinal detachment, severe injury to the eye, or diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah, now they do. They do the diabetes. Years ago, they didn't have the diabetes test for vision, and they do. I don't really remember when they came out with that, but they do. I've been in
Dr.
this.
Shealy, what is the test for diabetes? What is the test for diabetes, Dr. Shealy?
A1C is the only way to diagnose it. Hemoglobin A1C, if it's 5.6 to 6.4, that is pre-diabetes. You can have all the problems of diabetes once you get pre-diabetes. Once it gets to 6.6, you're frankly diabetic.
And what if someone is pre-diabetic? Is there a protocol that you recommend?
Gymnema sylvestre, 400 milligrams.
Meaning stay away from meaning stay away from wheat and sugar, right?
Even if you don't have diabetes, stay away from sugar.
Okay, David, I've got Bob in Michigan on hold. Anything quickly?
Yeah, can I ask a quick question? Hey, I have your number, you called here. You don't mind sometimes, I need to ask your opinion about something that you would be able to help with?
Please call anytime. The best time to call me is 7 p.m. Central Time in the evening.
Okay. All right. Hey, good luck, and I hope some of that helped her, with that. Yeah. You got to keep up on the glaucoma and check it even if you don't think you got a problem, because if it gets too bad, I forget the name of the cells. Once they're dead, they don't grow back for glaucoma.
Very well said,
gone,
David. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Give me a call, David. Thank you. Bob in Michigan, welcome.
Hey, I just got a question, this thing about sugar. If sugar's so bad for you, then why did God make it one of the most pleasurable tastes there is? Think about that.
You can say the same thing about homosexuality, right?
Not necessarily. don't dodge the question.
No, I'm not dodging the question. I'm thinking that homosexuality is propagating like it's been fertilized. I mean, it used to be in the closet. Now you can't turn around without bumping into it.
That's not what I called about. No, I'm serious. I'm serious about this. I mean, sugar, obviously it's a pleasurable taste. And it was designed. Now listen, our bodies were designed. We're not the product of blind evolution. So there's a reason. Our bodies are perfectly designed. So I wonder what Dr. Shealy what does Dr. Shealy think about that? Sure, excessive amounts of sugar are bad for you. No doubt about it. I mean, a diet can be 100% sugar, that's going to be a problem. Nobody's going to do that, but and then,
first, second, and third, and then sugar, sucrose. Sucrose is an artificial food. It occurs only in sugar beets and sugar cane in any quantity. It would be okay to eat the whole sugar beet. It would be okay to eat the whole sugar cane. But to take it out makes it an artificial food. It is not a real food. Period.
Yeah. So that, I would agree, any natural sugars that are found in like fruits or similar products, cantaloupe, but that's okay. But, the artificial sweeteners are bad.
The glucose.
So anyhow, I just wanted to qualify that a little bit.
Well, I don't think Dr. Shealy was ever talking about natural sugar in like watermelon and cantaloupe and et cetera, bananas. You weren't talking about that, were you, Dr. Shealy? You were talking about the extraction of sugar.
Exactly.
There you go.
Talking about so-called table sugar, sucrose.
Yeah, and it comes in bags and has all kinds of colors, and it tastes really great, and it's in the candy aisle. That's what we're talking about, avoiding that aisle. Bob, hey, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yep.
Dr. Shealy, thank you for being with us and sharing your wealth of medical knowledge.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.